Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Sal Licata Show podcast. And boy, right out of the gate, John Harbaugh and the Giants are finalizing an agreement to have Harbaugh take over as the next head coach of the New York Football Giants. And right out of the gate, I got to tell you, well, I was wrong. I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think the Giants had the best landing spot for the best head coach available, but I was wrong. And somehow they got the job done. Whether it was John Mara, Chris Mara, Joe Shane, in the way, out of the way, Jackson Dart, the prestige of the New York Football Giants, whatever it was, the job is done. Harbaugh became available. Immediately, you knew the Giants had to go out there and get him. They did everything they could. Everybody was worried about letting him leave the building. He left, but barely, because in the wee hours of the morning, all the reports start coming out. I think the Post had it first, but who cares? Harbaugh and the Giants finalize an agreement. God, what a seismic shift in the trajectory of the franchise. Finally, a real head coach. The first real head coach since Tom Coughlin, Super Bowl winning head coach, obviously, with the Giants, couple Super Bowls there. Since he left the building, or was forced to leave the building, the first time we have now a real head coach here. And I don't know if it's going to translate immediately into success for the Giants, but forget about that for a second. Think about where the Giants franchise is at, because the reason why I didn't think the Giants were appealing is because they've been losing for more than a decade. Haven't had more than 2 winning seasons in, 13 years. You know, in only one of those years, outside of the 2 winning seasons, they win 7 games or more. It was always 6 wins, 4 wins, 3 wins. So it could not be worse with the Giants. And they tried in different ways, whether it's a special teams coach, whether it's an offensive coordinator, defensive, whatever it may be. First-time guy, experienced guy, Pat Shurmur, like we've been down the road before. Joe Judge, Shurmur, I don't even need to rehash it. But I didn't think that the Giants were set up, especially with the uncertainty of the health of John Mara. I didn't think that they were set up to be in a spot to get the biggest and baddest fish available. But they did. And now, no matter what happens, now, meaning like record-wise beyond this year, next year, whatever, that time will tell how Harbaugh is going to have success, whether Jackson Dart can stay healthy, is Jackson Dart a stud? But no matter what, there is no doubt about the head coach being a top-tier, elite, future Hall of Fame head coach. They finally brought in a guy with no question marks. They've been looking for an answer for how many years? Right? The answer for how many years? Oh, we need a new head coach, we need a general manager, quarterback, whatever. Well, this guy, and then when they're looking for the answer, all the head coaches that they bring in just bring in more question marks. Well, is Dable the right guy? Is this guy the right guy? Can he do this? Can he do that? We know Harbaugh knows what he's doing. Also, what this does is eliminate any doubt that you would have about bringing back Joe Shane. I did not want Joe Shane back. It's not because I don't like Joe Shane. It's because Joe Shane was god-awful at his job. 4 years, you look at the record. You don't need me to tell you Joe Shane's no good. But Harbaugh wouldn't come here if Joe Shane had full say and were running things. So Joe Shane may still be employed. He may still be in the building, but it's going to be neutered. It's going to be the Harbaugh show. That's how it should be. This is what needed to be done for the Giants. Dare I say, Big Blue is back. The wins need to follow, obviously. And you need to get everybody healthy. Malik Neighbors back, Scadaboo, Dart, keep them healthy. But the one thing we don't have to worry about anymore is this team, and by the way, I didn't even mention the defensive guys, obviously, is this team being coached to maximize the talent that they have on the roster? Are they being coached to the max? Are you maximizing every ounce of ability that this roster has? You don't have to worry about that anymore because you know whatever they do have, John Harbaugh is going to get it out of them. And that's what happens when you bring in a Super Bowl winning head coach, a known commodity, a program changer. That's what happened. No doubt about it, unquestioned leader of men. Has had success with different iterations of that team, winning a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco and having success getting to the postseason consistently with Lamar Jackson. I don't even want to hear about the knocks on Harbaugh in that, well, he couldn't win with Lamar Jackson. Yeah, okay, well, maybe there's reasons for that. It's not Harbaugh's fault. It could be Lamar Jackson, could be the rest of the roster, could be the competition in the AFC year to year, the injuries. There's many different reasons. I'm not making excuses for the guy, but I know this. Regardless of the recent results, he is a great, great head coach. And I, for one, am just excited to put the unknown to bed. First-time coordinator, all that nonsense, it's over. They finally bring in a legitimate guy, no doubt about it. So I think it's a great credit and testament to the Giants organization, with even all the losing that they've had in the last decade plus, to be able to be in a position where they were the team that can lure the biggest fish. Now, I know Atlanta, Cleveland, Tennessee, Miami may not be the stiffest of competition. You look at those jobs, not really premier landing spots, although I think you could argue that some of them might, in fact, be better than the Giants as far as talent goes and as far as being easier to build a winner sooner than what the Giants have done here. But all the other things, and that's why I'm giving the ownership credit, even with the current situation with the health of Mara, Chris Mara jumping in, doing all he could, Tish and the plane and all that stuff. I'm sure Jackson Dart was a big reason why Harbaugh thought the Giants were the best landing spot. Any way you slice it, the fact that they put themselves in an organization to know that they needed to do whatever they could to go get him, pushing Shane aside or Shane taking a backseat, the most money, they knew they had to go get him. They did whatever they could, and clearly it worked, because Harbaugh, apparently, according to all the reports, going to forego the other interviews. Are scheduled to meet with the Titans, I believe, on Thursday, and potentially the Falcons later in the week. That is no more. Harbaugh finalizing, according to the reports, finalizing a deal to become the head coach of the New York Football Giants. And now, when we push it ahead, that we don't have to worry about the question marks as far as the head coach goes, now we can focus on the results. For once, it's got to be about the results. And I don't want to hear about, well, we have some potential, well, we have some good picks in this building, well, we did this, well, we did that. Immediately, the team will be being judged on wins and losses. I don't have, Super Bowl expectations right away. I still need to see more of Jackson Dart. I need to see, obviously, how Harbaugh is going to make that defense look. But I don't think that there's any reason within today's NFL not to expect the Giants to, right out of the gate, be a competitive football team. And when I say competitive, I know that's something that's like foreign to New York football fans for both the Jets and Giants. Just hasn't happened nearly enough. I'm not talking about winning some games at the end of the year that you'd prefer the team lose. I'm talking about being competitive to where each week you have a chance to win the football game. Go beat the Eagles. Go beat the Cowboys. Go beat the Commanders. Not hang on for dear life. By the way, I can guarantee you this, it just hit me now, because a lot of the reasons why the Giants have coughed these games up has been the special teams and no kicker. That's not going to happen with Harbaugh. You know that. A special teams guy working his way up through the ranks. There's no freaking way. He had one of the great kickers of all time before he, Tucker. We don't have to get into the Tucker stuff. But anyway, Harbaugh will not stand for that. The extra points, the field goals, those things will be buttoned up. So you don't have to worry about those things. I expect the Giants, come on. It's somewhat of a rebuild, but they should be competitive to the point where postseason should not be out of the realm of possibility right out of the gate when you bring in a coach like Harbaugh. I'm not saying I expect that to happen, but that should be the expectations of the organization now, where they're at. Anything less than a highly competitive season that is at the very least borderline playoffs. Remember, it's not a rookie quarterback. It's year 2 now with Jackson Dart. So I know it's year 2 in a new system, new head coach. There's going to be some learning curve there. But with the way the NFL is set up now, year to year, anything could happen. We've seen, bad teams turn to good right away, especially when you have the game-changing coach like the Broncos had with Peyton. That should be the equivalent here with the Giants and Harbaugh. And maybe you could argue even more pieces are put in place than what Sean Payton had to take over in Denver with the Giants roster. Also, I trust him to clean up the fat, trim the fat. If guys, even if they have talent, aren't buying in, or guys aren't highly motivated, Dexter Lawrence. I know Carter came on at the end of the season, so that was a good bright spot. Very encouraging to see Abdul Carter turn it on finally and maybe mature in the final few games of the season. But any of those guys now with Harbaugh running the show, if they're not going to play hard or get the job done, what needs to be done to have this football team win game, I firmly believe they'll be out. That's what happens when you have a head coach with the pedigree of Harbaugh. So I mean, what do I expect? How many wins do I expect the Giants to have next year? It's way too early to be going over that. But I don't think it's nuts to be saying that the Giants should be competing at a high level, a playoff type level next year with John Harbaugh leading the way. And either way you look at it, look, if the Giants didn't get Harbaugh, it wouldn't have meant that they couldn't win. It's the same thing that just because they got Harbaugh doesn't guarantee that they're going to win the Super Bowl. But as we sit here today on Thursday, January 15th, it is a great day for the New York Football Giants as we can put the endless list of retreads, first-timers, unknown, unprovens, the coordinator search, the quarterback guru search, all of it. The Belichick tree, all of it. Put it all to bed. Finally, an established head coach for a New York football team, and in this case, obviously, Big Blue, the New York Football Giants, first time since the guy who hoisted the Lombardis, Tom Coughlin. It is a great, great day for Big Blue. All right, full disclosure, this is the second time that I'm recording the first podcast. We had planned to record episode 1 earlier in the evening, especially when the news came out that Harbaugh was going to be leaving the building and go take other meetings. So we did a whole episode. I'm in bed, about to fall asleep, watching the Knicks get their ass kicked in Sacramento. 12 o'clock, I see the news come up as I'm scrolling social media. Paul Schwartz had it. Schefter has it. I'm like, all right, well, we got to go record that again. So we will play you the full episode 1 minus the stuff that we talked about on Harbaugh after the interview, because obviously this is the breaking news. Harbaugh and the Giants finalizing an agreement. So this will now be the new episode. This is the part 1. The rest will follow where we talk about Kyle Tucker and get into some stuff about the Jets and introduce you to our producer, Bada Booms, as well. So have some fun enjoying the first episode of the Sal Licata Show podcast. Take 2. We'll be back with a new episode 5 days a week as we try to do that for you here moving forward and establish the show. Have some fun. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. We'll see you on Friday. Topic number 2. Hey, has anybody heard the news about Kyle Tucker? Kyle Tucker and the Mets, maybe there's something to it. Jim Duquette, my colleague over at SNY, he has been all over this for the last week, 2 weeks, maybe even now, having the Mets as one of the finalists in the running for Kyle Tucker. Mets, Dodgers, Blue Jays. And then the latest reports have the Mets offering Tucker $50 million a year. Duquette says that he believes the likelihood is that the Mets went to a 4th year. And now, as we sit here recording on this Wednesday evening, we wait. The Mets are expected or not expecting to hear anything sooner than Thursday as far as a decision goes from Kyle Tucker. And you'd have to, you wonder. A part of me thinks, man, the more he thinks about this, the worse it would be for the Mets. Maybe you could make a case where he's really just weighing it and making sure he's doing the right thing here. Think about it from Tucker's perspective, and it's also from the Mets' perspective as well, where you're offering somebody $50 million a year. Tucker now, he's getting $50 million a year, even if it's for just 4 years, because you ultimately want the long-term security, right? He'd like $50 million a year for 8 years. I mean, he'd like it for 10, but he's not going to get that. He'd probably take 40 for 10 years. He's not going to get that either. So where the Mets can flex their financial muscle and maybe are ahead of the curve with this, they did it with Verlander and Scherzer years ago. And maybe now they could do it with Kyle Tucker. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to give you $300, $400 million over the course of 8, 9, 10 years, but we will make you, one of the highest paid players in the sport, I think right underneath Ohtani and Soto, $50 million a year AAV. You're not going to beat that. And we'll do it for 4 years. And you could have a couple opt-outs along the way. Maybe an opt-out after 2 years. If I'm the Mets, I'm not doing that anything less than 2 years. I need a 2-year commitment, $50 million per year. 2 years, and then you want to have an opt-out, so be it. But it could be 4 years with an opt-out after 2. However they want to do. Opt-out after 2, opt-out after 3, that's fine. But that's a power move for the Mets because they're overextending now, but on the back end not getting hurt. And if the player wants to opt out, so be it. Then you go opt out and the Mets could reassess then. That, to me, should be the new way of doing deals. It's the smarter way. And from Tucker's perspective, it also would make sense because he can maximize his income now in the short term. And it's also some insurance, a 4-year deal. He's guaranteed, let's just say, $200 million over the next 4 years with a chance to either opt out after 2 if he's had a great 2 years, or after the 4th year, still get a contract on top of that for another 4 or 5 years that could potentially equal what he would have gotten or be greater than what he'd gotten anyway. So I love the idea for both sides, not to mention the fact that it would keep him motivated to want to break out and continue to make more money, maybe opt out and maximize his earnings. So I love the structure idea of it from the Mets. And I like the idea of it from Tucker's perspective as well. I just don't know if that's going to be the best offer. We'll see. I mean, maybe the Dodgers offer 8 years and 350 and Tucker decides to take that. We have no idea. As for the player himself, I do love the idea of the Mets going all in on this type of guy. I think it's better than doing it with Cody Bellinger, who to me, there are some question marks about his consistency. Where you look at prior coming to the Yankees, there's been some up and downs with Bellinger. And I'm not sure that that's something that I would want to invest in long term. I think he's a perfect Yankee. And I think he'll be back with the Yankees. I think a lot of what we've heard here has been more posturing than anything else, similar to what we saw with Pete Alonso and the Mets a year ago, where it was the Mets were done with Alonso. That's it. Alonso was going to go elsewhere. They were preparing for that. He ends up coming back to them because that was the best offer, and he signed the deal with the opt out. Now he's an Oriole, but I think that's what's going to happen with Bellinger, where Bellinger will be back with the Yankees. He's not getting better. Oh, come on, who are we kidding? He's not getting better than 5 years, $30 million a year. At least I wouldn't imagine him getting better than that. And as for the Mets jumping in there, I wouldn't do that if I'm the Mets. I wouldn't even give him the 5 for 30 a year that the Yankees are offering, let alone try to beat that. So I think that Bellinger will be back with the Yankees, and I think that the Mets are doing the right thing here, similar to what they did with Yamamoto, going all in on Yamamoto. All right, he went to the Dodgers, but that was an investment that they thought was worth it, and it would have been worth it had he signed here. They've had that MO, going high AAV or going all the way in on guys that they love, not like. Ranger Suarez, for example. I liked him a lot. The Mets didn't like him. He goes to the Red Sox, 5 years, 130. I don't think that's a bad value, but Stearns and Cohen MO, they're not going to, in their minds, overpay or commit long term to somebody that they don't love or somebody that they don't think is going to be a huge difference maker. Rather go all the way, and let's see what happens if Tarek Skubal becomes available. Maybe that'll be the case. And then you have to wonder too, by the way, if the Mets do put $50 million on the board for Tucker, you got Soto, Tucker, they're $100 million alone. Throw in Lindor's $30 million. Quite a few bucks wrapped up in just 3 guys. So I don't know if that would take them out of the running for Skubal or not. But even if it did, I would still prefer to go all in on Tucker. His age, his performance in the clutch, the ability to hit left-handers. I'm not worried about the lefty-lefty thing. I think the fact that you could have put Tucker in right, and even with his declined defense from a year ago, where he was hurt, by the way, all year long, you put Tucker in right field, you put Soto in left field. I think your defense is better. Soto's better than Nimmo was in left. At the very least, it's a wash, but I think he's better. He's got a much stronger arm anyway. Tucker better than Soto was in right. Your outfield defense is better too. Tucker can run the bases. There's a lot of reasons why. It's not just the offensive number or the desperation to replace Pete Alonso and that production from him in that lineup with Tucker. So I love the idea of Tucker. As a matter of fact, it's the first thing I said live on SNY. After the Mets let Alonso go, I was like, okay, good. I'm okay with it. I'm fine with breaking up the core. Now go get Tucker. And it looks as if that's what they're trying to do. But there is a difference between trying and doing. And now they're trying. Now it's time to start doing. So hopefully the Mets can get that done sooner than later. So, all right, that's topic number 2. We have a couple more topics here before we wrap up the first episode of the Sal Licata Show podcast. But we do have to introduce somebody here as we welcome in right now a man I like to call Bada Booms. Actually, I don't even like to call him this, but he likes to call himself this. And we want to get to know him a little bit. He's going to be producing with me. He's going to be like a sidekick. Okay, come on in, Bada Booms. You could come into the room here. Unmute yourself. Boy, that's a fright. You get any lighting in that place? It's a frightening.
I got to ask the bookkeeper. What do you think, bookkeeper? Can we?
Yeah, what exactly are you doing down there? Are you being held captive in a basement somewhere? Are you all right or what?
I can't discuss that any further.
Blink 3 times if you need some help. All right, so Bada Booms, that's what you want to be called, right? Bada Booms?
Yeah, do you like it?
I mean, I like Booms is nice, but then you could be confused with other people. It's okay.
What about Badas? Do you like Badas?
No, I don't like Badas. To me, that feels like there's not a clean out there. At least with Bada Booms, it's a nice strong out. Bada's is like Bada's what? Anyway, so Bada Booms, we welcome in here, and you're a big sports fan, and we met on social media, and you offered to help out with the podcasting stuff. I was like, you know what, Bada Booms, I'm going to take you up on that. You seem to have good initiative, and you have a good personality, and you're passionate about your sport, so we figure we'd give you the opportunity.
So the first two bald New York sports guys I tried turned me down and didn't respond. The third was perfect. You get 3 strikes in baseball. I had to look at the first two, just like Soto, and now I make contact on the third pitch. What can I say?
Well, who are the first two? Go ahead. BT has to be one of them.
I don't know. It feels a little sore.
Well, who's the other one?
I don't want to.
What do you mean? Come on, just say it. Just say it, Bada Booms. Come on, get it out.
He got hooked by a much bigger fish, or a much larger hook, I should say.
Craigie.
We'll save it for later. I don't want to be out on day one.
Well, their loss is our gain. All right. So, what are your thoughts on now? You're just to establish you, Bada Booms. Not that it matters because I grew up rooting for the Mets. I grew up rooting for the Atlanta Falcons, but that doesn't matter when I talk about New York sports or sports. I don't really let that impact my opinion. So, I don't want that to impact your opinion either. But who do you root for? You grew up rooting for who?
Yeah. So I grew up diehard Yankee. Baseball was my first love. Yankee fan. I wasn't conscious, I would say, enough for '09, but that's kind of like the team I go to. That core with, Jeter, Posada. I'm not the biggest A-Rod guy, but that's a story for another time. Unless you want me to spit it now, I don't want to.
Easy, that's my guy, A-Rod. No, easy on that. But go ahead.
Can I give you the story?
Why you don't like him?
I have a reason to.
Go ahead.
I actually haven't even told my host here off air this either, and I wasn't intending on saying this, but since it got brought up and you do have a tie with him. Hopefully this gets back to A-Rod. I've waited 10 years to tell this story. So this is a huge build, maybe not to you, but to me. On my 12th birthday at Yankee Stadium, I had a hat and a Russell Martin jersey. I wanted Russell Martin's autograph because I was a big guy, catcher. He was my favorite player.
Mm-hmm.
A-Rod took my hat. He looked at it. He looked at me. He handed it back to me. And that's when A-Rod disdains. He
didn't say anything?
He didn't. I don't know if he kind of just got in a haze.
Was it sweaty and smelly maybe? And A-Rod didn't want to deal with that, and that's why he gave it back to you.
12-year-old pudgy kid should always get the autograph at a Yankee game.
All right, fair enough. Now, okay, so anyway, Yankees, Jets, Knicks, right? We got that out of the way. Give me your. We talked about this a little bit before. Give me your take on Kyle Tucker potentially with the Mets.
So I do have a question to pose to you.
Mm-hmm.
When this Tucker news first broke, I thought to myself, it seems a little bit of a PR move because all the accusations that they're not going to spend. How do you feel about that perspective?
That what?
That they weren't going to spend, and this year was.
No, I mean it's ridiculous.
You don't think that would be accurate in the slightest?
You're talking about for the Mets.
This offseason, particularly concerning with the big fish that's coming out next year.
I never believe that narrative, ever.
Okay.
When Steve Cohen's the owner, I believe what Steve Cohen is saying, that they're going to do whatever they can to build a team that could go compete legitimately to win a World Series. So, no, I never bought into the narrative that they were going to take a step back and not spend, ever.
Do you prioritize the fact that there's still a pitching lull, or and Suarez got picked up today, obviously? Does that not anger you a little bit that the first target isn't pitching and it's bat?
Okay. No, because now what I will say is coming into the offseason, they needed, to me, especially after losing Alonso and all that stuff, they needed one legitimate outfield bat. They're trying to get that with Tucker. And then they needed, to me, 2 arms in the rotation. I think at this point, it's probably unlikely they get 2, and it's more likely they get none than get 2, but they need minimum 1, and I'm hoping that it's going to be Freddie Peralta. Okay, continue. Go ahead with the question here.
I do like that take. And then going back to it, at least from my perspective as a Yankee fan who does root on the Mets, Kyle Tucker has this sense of a pseudo slugger where he can do a little bit of everything. He could steal some bases, but they got rid of their homegrown superstar, face of the franchise slugger, who I thought was going to be a DH anyway, to bring in a guy who I do think in a few years will become a DH. Does that make you feel any way specifically about this? Do you go back to Pete?
Well, no, I don't go back to Pete because I think that there was something off with the Mets and the chemistry and just the way that it was. I think that I look at these separately. I understand your point, and I understand Met fans' logic by saying, well, if you're going to give Tucker this, why wouldn't you give Pete that? Tucker's the better player. Also, you could say that he's going to be a DH. You don't know that. Same thing people are saying about Juan Soto. He's going to be a DH sooner than later. All right, well, we'll see it. I mean, he's still young enough to where he can play the outfield. He may not be great out there, but he can move out there. And maybe eventually they move him to first base. Also with Tucker, you're committing 3-4 years. Kyle Tucker is not going to be a DH in 3 or 4 years. Maybe beyond that, yes. But I wouldn't worry about that now. I'm worried about building the best team that you can possibly build right now. And I think that by bringing in Kyle Tucker, they would be able to do that.
Yeah, I do agree. And you mentioned no Bellinger before, but I would say, my perspective on this, I would go back to Pete. I'm not a Met fan, so I can't give you the 100%. I almost feel like, I want my guy. That's always been my thought process on this to kind of wrap up my take on that.
Okay, yeah, and we appreciate that. So getting to know Bada Booms a little bit, and we got one more for you, Bada Booms, before we say goodbye here. But with the Alonso stuff, I just think it was time to move on. I mean, I think the core was clearly not good enough, dating back to 2022, and the Mets decided they gave it every ounce of try that they could. 23, 24. Stearns gave them a year on top of that, even after 24 wasn't great because they went on that postseason run. In 2025, they evaluated it was a disaster. They could not let that go any longer, had to do it. Trading Nemo, letting Pete go, trading McNeil. The only thing that I wouldn't have done, and they wouldn't have done either, is the Diaz thing. They screwed that up, but I still think the bullpen will be okay. All right, now, Bada Booms, you mentioned the Jets here. I did want to get to this third topic number 3 on the Sal Licata Show, episode number 1. Dante Moore deciding that he's going to return to Oregon. And everybody's like, oh, no, he's not going to be the Jet quarterback now. Nobody wants to play for the Jets. I think that's such bullshit. People will want to put. Can you mute your thing there, Bada Booms, here? Because I don't know what. Yeah, come on, Bada Booms. What are we doing here? You dropping shit. You pen all this stuff. Anyway, the idea that Dante Moore doesn't want to be a Jet or that other players, nobody in this draft wants to be a Jet. Get the hell out of here with that. I will say that I think that this is the best case scenario for the Jets. Forget about Moore. Nobody cares about him anymore from a Jets perspective because he's going back to Oregon, so he's out of the picture. From a Jets perspective, I think this is the best thing that you could possibly ask for because they now I don't know if they were in love with him or felt forced to take the quarterback. They should not be forced to take a quarterback. And maybe now this helps them not force the issue and take a quarterback at number 2 that's going to have to come in here and yet again be a savior for a franchise that has begged other quarterbacks, whether it be Aaron Rodgers, whether it be Sam Darnold, whether it be Zach Wilson, whatever, Geno Smith, on and on and on. They have begged quarterbacks to come in here. Instead of being a part of a team, a foundation that was already built, it's been about trying to bring in guys to be the savior. And I think if they asked that of Dante Moore, it would have failed miserably just like it did before. As a matter of fact, I think if they did that of Fernando Mendoza, it will fail miserably. Nobody is going to come in and save the Jets. No Superman quarterback. They need to build this thing, and that's what they're trying to do. And it's important that with all the draft picks that Muji and Glenn have amassed here, they hit on these, start to build the foundation, and then go get the quarterback. So I think it's actually a great day with the news of Dante Moore saying he's going to return to Oregon and now be out of the mix for the Jets with that second pick. Let's bring back in Bada Booms here. You could unmute your mic there. I don't know what all that noise is. What are you doing over there? What are you drinking, soda or something? What's going on?
I'm getting ready. I don't want to throw out any soda names. We got deals we're looking to make here, so I don't want to shoot the load there. I don't want to bust too early, as it says behind you.
That's busting and surviving. John Starks, you heard of him?
Yeah, of course. He's in Nick collection.
Okay, I'm just making sure. How old are you, Bada Booms?
22. My Nick team is more J.R. Sweezy, a little Nick.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
That's my guy with the Hendo.
Oh, I bet you love Mello too, don't you?
I do love Mello. That was my guy growing up.
Come on, man.
Listen to me. I was always a J.R. Smith guy. He had so much aura. He had all the tats, and he was always busting out the Hendo.
What's Hendo?
The Hennessy.
Oh, okay. Hendo. That must be young. No, I've heard of Hennessy. Like Tupac talking about Hennessy. Hendo? I'm not sure what that's about. All right, give me your thoughts on Dante Moore and the Jets. Your Jetsies.
Jetsies. I've never heard that one before.
It's an affectionate term.
Yeah, okay, I like it. I 100% agree with your opinion there. And my first thought when the Moore news broke was, this is great because they don't have to force their hand. Where I did think it was a negative is I had the idea of trading this pick because now I know it sounds a little crazy. Who else is going to be so desperate to take the quarterback where it's really the Jets? If you look at it, I mean, there's the Cardinals in there. I would never trade with Miami. I wouldn't arm an in-division opponent, especially a rival. But, from that perspective, it does hurt the potential of trading it. Now they don't have to get caught up in their hand being forced. I think you talk about there's not a savior, there's not a Superman. There is one. And his bloodline has saving or brought New York to the promised land before. We just can't touch him right now. We have to keep him in his glass case. We have to preserve him on the shelf. I think the O line's built. Let's get another receiver in there. Draft majority defense this year because there's not even a Rutgers or Division II Sacred Heart University player on defense who's going to be on this team next year. Let's build the D. Let's get another receiver in there, and then the Manning will take his throne
Oh,
across the
okay.
street.
Okay, now I need to bring a little dose of reality here. Are you familiar with what happened when Peyton Manning was supposed to come out of college in what, 97?
The first time I ever saw Peyton Manning on a television, I was informed of that, and every time he gets shown on the television, I'm always informed of that.
Do
It's
you
almost like
really, right? So do you really think that they're going to let Arch Manning go to the Jets?
my thought process is give them a reason to not say that. You know, draft the right guys this year, and I have a lot of faith in Darren Muji. He seems like he knows what he's doing. Once, his picture started to come along at the deadline, and they said, hey, we are not going for it this year. We can get assets. Let's go. And I think his first round picks, he's hit so far, knock on wood. Getting 2-0 tackles, it's not sexy by any means. That's what you have to do. That's why there wasn't, who was blocking for Darnold? Brandon Shell? Like,
Right.
do you remember who Brandon Shell was?
I mean, I remember the name, but no, I'm not. Come on, man. What do you think? I
Hey,
care
that's what
about
I'm
the offensive?
saying. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
no.
saying. But you know Olu Fashanu, you know Armand Membu, like you know these guys. You
Well,
know
I
their
knew
names.
DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Nick Mangold. That's how they see. To me,
Yeah.
Mangini built that team. Mr. T Tannenbaum and Mangini were building that thing the right way. Rex took it over and took it to another level. But that was Mangini's team, and they were built the right way, inside out. That's what I always say. You want to build it inside out. Nowadays, everybody gets caught up in the fantasy stuff. Oh, go get me this receiver and this running back and no, you got to build it inside out. And the Jets, it's why I didn't want Bowers a year ago. That was the tight end that they were trying to get, right? Or that people were talking about them getting
Warren.
last year.
Last year was Warren as
No,
well.
no, no. 2 years ago,
Two
I'm talking
years
about.
ago was Bowers. 2 years ago was
Yeah,
Bowers.
I had that argument with BT. I was saying, no, I want the lineman. He was saying, you want a tight end. I'm like, no, they don't need a tight end. I know Bowers is an absolute stud, but even with the Giants with Neighbors, I didn't want them to take Neighbors. I want them, at that time, I wanted them to take a quarterback. And if you don't love a quarterback, then trade down. I would not take a wide receiver that high unless it's the finishing piece or
Hmm.
potential finishing piece. So, as a matter of fact, I read something somewhere, Bada Booms the other day, that I think this is the first time that a number one seed has had the league's leading receiver, is Smith and Jigba, whatever.
Hmm.
First time since Jerry Rice did it, like
Really?
3 times with the Niners back in the 80s and 90s. Point is that you don't need to have an elite receiver to win. You need either a great quarterback, a great defense, a strong offensive line, balanced attack. So I'm with you. I like the idea that they're building inside out. You just got to give it another year. I know Jeff fans have been patient forever. Don't go get the quarterback now. A little more discipline, continue to build inside out, then go get the quarterback. Maybe you get like Kirk Cousins something this year.
I don't hate that. I'm still burned by Cousins' documentary team. It feels like a decade ago now when he got an offer from the Vikings out of the Jets. But I do want to just to stay going into next year real quick and
Mhm.
not to branch out too much. There's been so
Well, please
much.
don't. I mean, remember who's in control of the show here, Bada
Oh, of
Booms.
course, but you want the Jet take. This is the place. This is the place to be. But especially from a Jet fan in my life who's I wasn't conscious enough to experience those playoff wins, so it means more to me. It's something else to me. Everybody's killing him for not firing Glenn. What if Muji knows, he's thinking of this step ahead, build the defense next year, and let's say, we're not satisfied with the 6 or potentially 7 wins. You see what I did there?
Yeah,
Six,
yeah,
7.
yeah.
But Mike Tomlin will have taken his year off. Maybe Mike Tomlin wants to coach again next year. As it stands right now, the Jets have 3 first-round picks. I'll burn one for Tomlin. I'll burn an arm for Mike Tomlin right now if I have to.
What else
But
would you get a haircut for Tomlin? Because it looks like you might need one.
yeah. Well, you don't
Okay.
like the Wisconsin offensive lineman haircut?
And we should say, Bada Booms, you were an offensive lineman yourself, so you know a little bit about building inside out, correct?
I tore my ACL playing ball. Ended my
Mm.
career effective immediately.
Did it hurt?
I tried to get up and start going again, and then I realized, I'm not walking.
Really? And that
Yeah.
was it? Never played another snap, another down?
Yeah, no, the worst part, that was in a snow football game, not in an actual football game.
Would you play? You
So,
played at like high school or something?
yeah, so when it was
Okay.
snow, we'd go up to the field, and, of course, being the beast I am, I'd be the running back, Jerome Bettis. So I was toting the rock and getting 35 carries in a 30-minute long game, and, popped, and that was the ended my football career, started my broadcasting career.
If you, I'm going to answer this first, and then you can answer this.
Hmm.
If you're Harbaugh, or really any head coach, but as it pertains to Harbaugh, we'll close with where we started. If you were in his spot and you could work in any one of those markets, New York, Tennessee, Atlanta, and we'll throw in Miami. I myself, like, you have to factor in everything. Yes, prestige matters. Yes, current situation and roster and all that stuff. I don't, the same way I don't think the Giants prestige matters. Like, I don't think the division matters either. People talk about, oh, maybe he'll go to Atlanta because the division sucks and you can win that division. Harbaugh doesn't give a shit about that. Come on, this guy can win anywhere he's been. I wouldn't worry about that. But if you look at quality of life and money's equal in all of it, to me, I mean, that's pretty hard to turn down Miami, maybe even Tennessee. I've never been, but I heard it's nice. But New York, as much as I love New York and I've never left New York, outside of Jersey, I come to Jersey, but whatever, it's the same thing. New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, wherever you may be. I, I don't know, man. That's got to be a big factor in this as well. Bring your family. You have a spot, Bada Booms, that you would choose of those markets?
I'm not trying to be biased in any sense. I think my perspective on it would be the quarterback. Who do I think is the best quarterback
I know. I mean, I'm asking you about the
Oh,
markets.
I know. You're
And by
right.
the okay, and by the way, before you get to the markets, which I
Okay,
asked you specifically
my
about,
bad, my bad, my bad.
no, it's okay. But do you think that Harbaugh will end up with a better quarterback than what he had in
No,
Baltimore?
no, no.
And that's the point. So it's not like he's not
The
going to get a
greatest
better.
football player I've ever seen, he coached. He
Correct.
coached. The most athletic athlete that I've ever seen
Now
play
you're stealing
sports.
my thing. Yeah, you're stealing my
Is that
lines.
your thing?
Well, I mean, yes, I'm the one who said that Lamar Jackson is the best football player I've ever seen. What are you
Oh, look at that.
pretending?
We agree. No,
Yeah,
no, no. We look at that. We agree.
you're pretending you weren't listening to the BT and Sal show or me on the overnights. Come on, Bada Booms.
I
I know your
watched him
game.
kill my Miami Hurricanes at Louisville. I've seen him play before. I had hair, throughout my body. You know what I'm saying?
Did you think he was going to go higher than what he did, Lamar?
Yes, but then if you really think about, like, there wasn't many prerequisite for athletic quarterback, at least in my time, like being interested in the draft. He was kind of the most athletically gifted quarterback that I've ever seen come out. I was shocked he went that far, but I always thought he was going to go to an organization that will give him room, give him time to grow.
What
The
year were you
Jets would have
born?
taken him.
Yeah, I know.
03.
God. Like, I remember Michael Vick. That's why I'm talking about that, where Vick came out in 2002, I believe was his rookie season with Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first guy that it was like, wow. And to me, Lamar's just a better football player. But it's weird also for me, Bada Booms, to think like you weren't even born when Vic came out. That's like, come on, man. I
I mean,
mean,
I missed the whole dynasty. I missed the Jets' prime throughout the last 3 years of the '90s. I missed
all
Chad
right.
Pennington's career.
So can you wrap it up? I'm getting tired.
All right, all right, all right.
What market? Give me the market, not the quarterback. You're not Harbaugh. Give me the market of what you think you yourself, Bada Booms, had an opportunity to go work in any of these markets or live there,
Mhm.
bring your family there. Where would you be going?
Oh, it's New York. It's 100% New York. I want to bring this, what once, like you said, once great franchise. The Giants at one point were a brand, the same way the Yankees were a brand. You see the Yankee logo, you don't think baseball, you think New York. You used to be able to see the Giant logo and you think New York. Harbaugh can do that, and if I were Harbaugh, I would want to do that. And I mean, look who's in the same building as them. Look which street they share. There's not much competition there. Just, win 9 games next year, and Harbaugh will be the talk of the town, and they'll build a statue for him.
Bada Booms, I think you're failing to understand the question here. Let me try this one more time. Maybe third time's a charm with you. Forget the football for a second, right? Forget the building, forget the quarterback, forget the history, market. Like, if you could live in Miami, have you ever left like New York or
I've been to Florida. I've never been to Miami, but I mean, New York. Why would you want to be
how'd you
in New York?
become how'd you become such a big Canes fan?
When I was young, there was a great linebacker named Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
I thought he was insane. I mean, that's really Ray Lewis started it. His motivation, the
Okay.
2010s Ravens team to me was, I mean, there's a Harbaugh tie right there. Just so much aura, so much hard hitting, smash mouth football. If Ray Lewis told me to run through a wall right now, head first, I would.
Okay. So Ray Lewis got you into that. Anyway, so have you been in Nashville before?
I have not.
And you've been to Florida, but not Miami.
No, correct.
Have you been to Atlanta?
I have not been to Atlanta, but I hear they got a lot of nice nighttime areas there.
Strip club. Have you been to a strip club?
No,
You are of age. You can go now. Have
correct.
you
I'm also
have you been outside of that basement that you're in, or wherever you are?
I can't tell you the location of this basement. This might be your basement.
That's true. That's true. Did we let him in here, honey?
Eh,
All right. So can you pick a fucking market for God's sake that it's still New York?
the greatest place in America. The city
Talk to
that
me.
never sleeps, even though they play in East Rutherford, New Jersey. My grandparents came to this country and went right to Brooklyn, New York. If I'm Jim Harbaugh, I go a little bit outside of New York, in East Rutherford, New Jersey, but it's still
Yeah.
in New York.
Well, you'd have to be in Jersey. You can't. He's not gonna live in. He's gonna live in Manhattan
You know what
and
I mean?
commute
It's
to
New
MetLife.
York.
No. Yeah.
It's New York.
I know, but I think as somebody who's a little bit, more mature than
He's
you.
got a family. He's got a wife. It's not like he's, a
Yeah,
young
we
spry
are.
guy.
But that's my point. And then you factor in taxes, like Miami, the weather. It's freezing out here. You wouldn't want to maybe be in Miami or even Nashville, where Nashville has nice country music.
Yeah.
And by the
You
way,
like country music?
I mean, I love Taylor Swift. Are you a big Taylor Swift fan? You made a face like you were not. It's okay if you're not. You're entitled to your opinion, but I love her, and
Yeah. No,
I'm a new
happy
Swiftie.
for you.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to make this like this is homework for you now. I am the teacher. You are the student. Can you watch the Taylor Swift documentary that is on Disney Plus? Are you familiar with this?
Are you paying for my Disney Plus?
Do you? Sure. I'll give you my passcode. Do you listen to Taylor Swift music?
The original stuff.
Like Opalite? Come on, man.
You're
Okay.
losing me
All
a
right.
little bit.
I'm losing. All right. So you choose New York?
I would choose New York. Well, again, not to deviate too much, I do understand the question, but when you talk
Are
about
you
markets, you
sure?
talk about
Are
place to live.
are
Yeah,
you?
I do understand. I do understand. Are you talking about the,
Oh my
factoring in
God.
people who are going to be coming for my job or my head, depending on how I perform? Maybe, bald men who have microphones turned on. If that's a factor, then maybe I wouldn't
No.
go to Nashville.
No, I
It's
wasn't
not?
really I wasn't really factoring in the media. I was just saying like place to live, raise a family, enjoy the weather. Like most people prefer San Diego, right? It's like it's supposed to be the most beautiful. I've been there, but I don't know, I haven't lived there, but that's supposed to be like the most beautiful. That's all I was saying. It was really I thought a simple question, but maybe we'll have to brush up on this in between episodes. All right, Bada Booms. It was very nice getting to know you. Yeah, anything else you want to chime in before I say goodbye here?
No, I'm just, get ready to take off. The Sal Licata Show 2026 is going to the moon, and we're not looking back, baby.
Looking forward to it, and happy, seriously, happy to have you a part of it. Bada
Oh, I do
Booms.
have one more
Yeah.
thing, actually.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Even though
Yeah,
we'll be on in between now
yeah,
and then,
yeah.
you mentioned it a little bit, but we're not going to stop the
To
energy
you,
right there.
good
Uh,
luck to your,
biggest
to
day of my
your.
life coming up on Sunday.
Good, what do you mean Sunday? It's Monday.
Oh, Monday, Monday, Monday. You know what I
You
mean?
don't even know when the game is.
I know when the game is. I know when the game is. Easy, easy. And that let me
All
see
right,
myself out.
all right, Bada Booms. We'll talk to you later. All right, so there you have it. A lot going on in episode one as we try to get a feel for the podcasting world. I mean, it's not the first time I've ever done a podcast. I've done them before. I think it is going to be the first time it's like my own podcast on YouTube and downloadable wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe, like, message, comment. We also have an email set up. I'll give it next time. You could email. We'll get your questions involved here. But I liked it. It was fun. I mean, Bada Booms is a little, he could be a little bit much. I'm just getting to know him as well. So we're all getting to know each other together for the first time. But good to be able to talk about Harbaugh and Tucker and all that stuff. And like I said, the plan is to continue to churn out episodes each day. We'll have about an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it may be, about an hour each day episode. Shoot the shit, talk some New York sports, whatever else is going on in the sports world. Tomorrow, I guess, so if you're listening to this, whatever, episode 2, we'll preview the best weekend in all of sports with the NFL divisional round and those 4 games. So stay tuned for that. All right, that does it for episode 1. Enjoy your evening. Bye.